Ladies and gentlemen, he sat right there. It's called 10 miles. I'm ready to go wild and crazy after 1, 2, 2.5, 3, go on!
Hello, how you doing? Hey. Yes, I spent the last 10 years teaching in university English departments. And I realised the other day, that might be too long. When I came out of my flat, and I noticed on the wall opposite, there was some racist graffiti. And I was disgusted. I was appalled. But I then realised that one of the reasons I was disgusted was it was incorrectly spelt. It actually said, fuck off, Nigers. It's like incorrectly spelled, racist graffiti outside my flat. This is disgusting. And I was so upset by this, I've decided that's not racist graffiti. It's a message left by a really posh person who's annoyed with someone called Nigel. I'm dealing with that, you see. Anyway, I'm actually a comedy researcher. Difficult to tell, I know. There we are. A couple of things I thought I'd do. The first thing I thought I'd do is I'll teach you some humour theory. So you can spend the rest of the evening laughing in a knowing, academic kind of way. And with a microphone that might actually work. Oh well. Anyway, we'll start with Raskin's tripartite classification. 1995, pages 36 to 39. You'll find my jokes aren't funny, but they're incredibly well referenced. Okay, Raskin's tripartite classification number 1, superiority theory, which goes back to Thomas Hobbes, who in 1650 wrote, laughter is the sudden awareness in ourselves of our eminence in comparison with the infirmity of others. Not a happy man, Thomas Hobbes. Example. Former US President George Bush once said, the problem with the French is they have no word for entrepreneur. Number 2 in Raskin's tripartite classification, incongruity theory, which goes back to Immanuel Kant, who in 1790 in the Critique of Judgment said that laughter is strained expectation into nothingness. Example. Here's my stepladder. It's not my biological ladder. Number 3 in Raskin's tripartite classification, release or relief theory, which goes back to Sigmund Freud. Well, it goes back longer than that, but 0.56 months contract, fixed term, what do I know? Who in 1900 wrote a book called Jokes and Their Relationship to the Unconscious, and he argued that jokes are a socially acceptable space for us to deal with the taboo. Sex, violence, that kind of stuff. Example, how do you make a dog drink? Put it in a blender. Thank you. It's a joke. I'd also thought I'd tell you, what I do as a comedy researcher. So I'll tell you a little story. Is this working? Oh yes. A couple of years ago, I was in my office in the English department at the University of Surrey, hence the posh accent. And I was marking some essays, and the student was writing about Welsh's novel Trainspotting. And they'd informed me that Renton takes heroin in order to reach a state of Nevada. At that point, I decided to take a break, and I checked my emails. And I got an email, this is entirely true, inviting me to a meeting of the Erotic Book Club. It's not an offer I get every day. Or up until that point, ever. I thought there's comedy gold in there. This is going to be interesting. There's comedy gold in there, a middle-aged fat man, erotic book club. And I decided to make my way there. And it does exist. You can Google it. Though if you don't Google it and you share a computer, you may want to erase your history. And it's in the East End, and I made my way to the East End, and I was very happy to be there because I did my first degree at Queen Mary. And I was a bit shocked, actually, because I hadn't been in the East End for a long time, a lot of social deprivation, a lot of poverty. And some guy came up to me and said, you know, I haven't eaten for 2 days, I've got nowhere to live, no food, can you spare 50p? And I was shocked, especially when I found out he was head of biology. And I made my way to the erotic book club, and I have to say he was terribly earnest, terribly serious. They were reading a book called Emmanuel by Emmanuel Arthur, which is a novel focused on a character called Mario, who just goes on and on and on, as far as I can see, with the intention of boring women to agreeing to sleep with him. A technique often used by professors, I believe. And they were being very serious about sex. So I thought, lighten the mood, Tim. Comedy researcher, lighten the mood. So they started talking about BDSM, and I said, I did some driving lessons with them. Not one laugh, not a titter. And they started talking about dominatrixes. And I said, I don't get it. If I wanted to be part of a subordinate relationship, abused, ignored, made to grovel, I could join the Liberal Democrats. Not a laugh either. So I went home and I thought, this is very strange. The erotic book club was very unfunny, and I started thinking about erotic literature, the English department, and James Joyce's Ulysses. Very sexy, not very funny. And I was doing some research and I found certain models. There's one model that suggests that humour is about the release of tension, sexuality about raising tension. I thought maybe there's a dichotomy, I don't know. And then I began to think about this a bit more. And I began to read about evolutionary psychology, which argues that we evolved a sense of humour as a way of signalling to a potential mate that there may be an evolutionary advantage in mating with us, because we can understand jokes, we can make those links. Fuck me and we'll have clever children, that's why we laugh. I thought maybe that's true, I don't know. And there's a lot of research to suggest that particularly women are very attracted to funny men. And there's a survey that I read that said that men will find women who laugh at their jokes incredibly funny. So incredibly attractive, I beg your pardon. Thank you. Corrective heckle, thank you very much. So my advice is, women, if you want to seduce the man of your dreams, all you need to do is laugh at his jokes. Though it's a good idea to stop laughing when he takes his pants off. In my experience. So I thought about thinking about this, and I went home and I thought, I don't know what to do. Maybe I should do research this. So I went to the library. I found every possible article. I considered theoretical approaches, critical perspectives, like any self-respecting academic would do. Masses of notes, and I then ignored it all. And I wrote a blog instead. I wrote a blog called Is the Erotic Just Not Funny? And I got 35 replies from some quite strange people. But I also got one reply from a man called Dr. Chris Ritchie, who edits comedy studies published by Routledge, and he said, would you like to write an article? So a couple of years ago I published an article called Sex, Pies and Ginny Cooper. It's true, published by Routledge. And if you have a Lboro account, can you please download it, because I need the citations. Though I do say getting that into an engineering paper could be tricky. You might have to crowbar that one in. And if you don't have a Lboro account, you can buy it from the Routledge website. It's only £85. Academic journals, the best value for money since Jack decided it was a good deal to give up the family livestock for 3 magic beans. If you want a copy, email me and I'll send you one for free. Anyway, I've been Tim Miles, you've been lovely, thank you very much, good night.